Jasmine and Zoolander, take one. Action.
Thank you. That's good. All right, let me get this right here. All right, here we go. I think we're ready to go, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Yo, what do they call me? What do they call me? They call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, they call me Devin Zoolander. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I look good on camera. You know I look good on camera. Now, you know what? We can't do this way. I have to like play like a song or something. I got to get us on the same page. Is that all right with you?
That is all right.
All right.
That was it.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Missy Elliott and Timberland. All right. Now, let's start the show. Okay, cough job going. Okay, here we are. Yo, what's up? It's your homie, Devin Zoolander, coming all the way live from Studio 9. And today is a very special occasion because I have with me a young woman who is not as young as some of you might think. She actually is an experienced person in her 20s. Not like I just got to my 20s. Like, no, I'm in there. I'm in my late 20s now.
I'm in there.
Yeah, you in there now, for real. So this woman is a woman of many talents. She prioritizes fitness. She prioritizes American Sign Language. Her workshop, we're going to talk about that. And she also prioritizes just being someone who is an inspiration to others and someone that hopefully, if you're ever feeling down and you need some encouragement, then you can go to this woman right here, coming all the way live, a graduate of the University of Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. We have with us a life changer, someone that is the owner of the ASL workshop. Someone that also has a passion for competitive cheerleading, as she is a coach for the Notorious Superstars.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So this is special right now because I first learned of this woman when I interviewed Kavana, and I saw that people were following me and they were looking at what she was doing, and then I looked at what they were doing. And that brought me to you, which is amazing because I would say that I don't know you well. I'm just getting to meet you, but you have so much to offer and I just like your spirit. Also, shout out to your skincare regimen because it is on point and you got it on point. You know, you're not like some old head that got it, like you got it now. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming to the show the one and only Jasmine Beltran. Oops.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, no problem. All right. And let's mute this right here. Okay, that was a pretty good intro, wasn't it? That
was really good.
I told you I wasn't playing. So, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that obviously being on social media too much can present a problem.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, all of us or most of us are on there. Mm-hmm. And even though it just might be like a positive comment or a like on a video or a DM about like, hey, I really like what you did right there, because people are starting to send that kind of positive energy to me more regularly, like it's really giving me just a little bit of incentive I need to keep going. So I'm definitely in a good mood.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's definitely something that I try to do as well. Like I keep that in mind that social media is just social media. It's not always real life. But it is nice to have, like you said, those reminders and affirmations that kind of give you that push that you need to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm definitely feeling good about that. And I feel like we all sometimes we have these what they call come to Jesus moments where it's like, what am I going to do with my life? Like I can't keep living this way. I can't keep going to that club, or I can't keep staying up this late. I can't keep eating this food. And I feel like we're all, what I like to say is that we're all falling with style. And just to give you a quick anecdote about where that comes from, have you seen the movie Toy Story? I don't know about all the other ones. I'm just talking about the OG one when I was a little kid and you were still on your way here. So in Toy Story, the whole movie, Woody is teasing Buzz because Buzz thinks that he's a real astronaut and that he can fly, but he's only a toy. Woody sees this a long time ago, but Woody also continues to criticize Buzz because he has been replaced as Andy's favorite toy by Buzz. So at one point, they say early on in the movie when Buzz does all these tricks in the air, they say, wow, he can fly. And Woody's like, that's not flying, that's falling with style. Later on in the movie when they escape the next door neighbor, Crazy Sid's house, and they have like a firecracker attached to both of them, and Buzz is carrying Woody. At one point, they break away from the firecracker and they're falling, and then somehow out of nowhere they go from here to back up, and Woody says to Buzz, hey Buzz, you're flying, and he says, this isn't flying, this is falling with style. The reason why I want to bring this up with you is because we're all battling something every day. You got your fitness thing. You got, like, maybe people might think, oh, I like the way she looks, I like the way she dresses, but they don't see what you go through on a daily basis. They don't know the horror stories about looking in the mirror and not liking what you see that day. And I feel like all of us are falling with style, and it may look, we make it look cool. We know how to finesse it, but everybody's struggling every day.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny that you actually said that, because people tell me all the time, like, you're so strong, like you would never know that you're dealing with this, or like just so much adversity that you've overcome, like you could never just tell that by just looking at you. And it's a compliment, but at the same time, no one should have to be strong all the time. I think it's very important to have a village and have people that you can lean on for certain things. And that's something that I had to learn. I had to learn that I can't be Superwoman. I can't do everything on my own. Being strong was a goal for me when I was younger. But I think now being stable and being at peace and being at ease is like my new goal.
So, well, thank you very much for sharing that, because I appreciate your perspective, and I like when people, they can take the analogies and the different references that I give them. They can be like, oh, I got that. Because some people, they be up here, they be like, I don't get it. And I'll just be like, you're stupid. But anyway, thank you for sharing that perspective.
I like that, though, falling with style.
Yeah. Well, because it's what we're doing every day.
Absolutely.
Like, if you want to be real, I mean, all of us have insecurities. Like sometimes like Kanye said a long time ago, the prettiest people do the ugliest things. Oh, go ahead. Okay. All right. Look like I touched on something I didn't even know. But yeah. Sorry, I got distracted for a moment. But no, it's kind of like sometimes the people that look the best have the most insecurities. Like take a Beyonce, for example. Yes, she's universally recognized as being an extremely beautiful woman, but it's not normal to have millions upon millions of people critiquing you. Oh, is that her real hair? Oh, I heard her breath stinks. Oh, she probably did something wrong to make Jay-Z cheat. And she's got to deal with this all the time. Oh, she talks like a third grader. Like people say all kinds of wild stuff about Beyonce. And I'm not here. I wouldn't say I'm part of Beehive, but I am a fan. And I just think that at the end of the day, you don't know what she has to go through. Right. You don't know what we have to go through. And that's why I say falling with style, only because I feel like we all have our own style as far as how we're trying to navigate through life. And your style might be a pink hoodie. My style might be this vintage shirt that I got at a vintage fair a couple months ago. But whatever it is, it's like we're putting on our armor, because we know to show up in the world and to walk out there, it really requires a lot of energy on our end. Yes. So the least we can do is dress the part.
One thing I like about B is she doesn't address any of those rumors, though. She just keeps pushing through. You would never know. She doesn't confirm, deny anything. I love that about her.
I love that about her too. It's definitely well, and to build upon that, I think it also helps when your partner reinforces that, because Jay also doesn't do that either.
That's important too, for sure.
Right. And I think because a lot of stuff is said, like I think about the other day when Jay was like, can't nobody stand on that stage with me at a Versus. And everybody is commenting. Everybody's like, no, Lil Wayne could do it. No, Nas could do it. And Drake could do it. Kanye could do it.
He said what he said.
He said what he said. Like, let me tell you something. The man created an Instagram for one day just to promote The Harder They Fall, then deleted it the very next day. Because he's not here for your games.
He's not, yeah.
Wow, it's just it's just amazing. Let me ask you something. Okay. I know you have a lot of goals in life. I know you probably, whether you own a home or plan to own more than one home, I know that you have a lot of goals. But what does your ideal community look like as far as, are you in a gated community, townhomes? What is it demographically? Like, what does it look like if you could be in your dream community where you own a home?
I definitely want to be in a gated community. I don't want to be isolated. I would like to have neighbors. I want to be that neighbor that bakes cookies for the new neighbors moving in. I want to be close with people that I live around. I want my future kids to feel safe in the community that they live in. And I also want it to be surrounded by different people, but also people that they can relate to. I'm really big on being able to identify or relate to people that are in my life or people that are in my circle, whether it's something that I can see myself doing or whether it's something that we share with our backgrounds. That's really important to me as well, because it's very easy to feel lonely. It's very easy to feel isolated and to feel like no one understands because they can't relate. So I think that's really important.
Okay. And to build on that point that you just made, do you see that community existing in Pittsburgh, or have you thought about moving elsewhere?
I can see it existing here, but I do want to try to live elsewhere. I've actually lived a lot of different places, but I don't know, either one. I'm not really big on location or exactly like what the house will look like. It's more so what will be happening within that house that I'm more passionate about. So it's just whatever happens.
I feel you. You know, I shared this with someone before. There was a meme that I saw a long time ago. And Meme University, they be teaching out there. I know how y'all feel, professors, about Wikipedia and whatnot. But look, like, let these people use this as like legitimate evidence, because some of them be teaching. They be talking that shit. And like one I saw in particular talks about how when you're young, it's all about being on the scene. But as you get older, it's all about the vibe. And I think about boundaries. I think about being able to say no to people from time to time. So is it okay if I say your age on camera?
Go ahead.
Okay. So you're 26 years old.
Yes.
All right. As a 26-year-old adult, what are some things that you have learned? Tell me what your 20s have taught you.
My 20s have taught me boundaries. Like I said, I tried to be Superwoman at a very young age, and I think it was due to guilt. It was due to me being so mature, feeling like I have to take on more responsibility. It was due to so many things that I wanted to do in such a small amount of time. I felt like I was on a time clock to have to do certain things. But learning boundaries for sure. Loving myself just as much as I love other people. Taking care of myself and making sure that I'm at a space where I can continue to grow mentally, spiritually. I'm at a place where I can be teachable and teach. And just kind of following my purpose in life. My purpose in life is very important to me, and I've always known what my purpose in life was, but really practicing what I preach every day. Those are the things that I've learned in my 20s.
All right. Well, round of applause for that. We appreciate everybody that can grow, because one of the things that people oftentimes like to say, especially people that knew you while you were quote unquote on the way up, they like to always remind you of who you used to be. And there's this saying about when new information becomes available, then we should adjust the way that we act.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know with you, there were people that knew you maybe at the University of Cincinnati, or they knew you in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And now to see where you are and to see that this ASL workshop that you created is doing really well, and not even just on the money standpoint, because obviously that's there, but more so in the joy that's giving people, mm-hmm. and how it's creating more connectivity between us. I feel like that's great. However, there are sometimes people close to you that secretly despise you, but out of their mouth they say that they love you. Mm-hmm. So I would like for you to talk about, how do you deal with, or has there ever been people in your life from your past that refuse to let go of that person that you used to be?
Actually, no. I see that happen with other people, but I feel like I've kind of been the same for the most part. Like I said, I was not a typical kid. So ASL has always been a part of my life. Both of my parents are actually deaf. So people who knew me knew that, and knew that I was passionate about that. I did not play when it came to my parents. I'm very protective. I was. I mean, I still am, but I was very protective at the time over my parents. So I didn't tolerate deaf jokes. I didn't tolerate deaf memes, making fun of sign language. Like, any of that was always off limits to me. And like I said, I always knew what my purpose was. So it's just kind of like, oh, she's finally doing it kind of thing. I don't think it's ever been, oh, remember when you used to be like this? Like, I wish you, it was never really like that. It was always like, okay, she's finally doing what she said she was going to do.
All right. And well, thank you for that. And I just learned something about you, because I figured
you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that at all. But it is important, because
mm-hmm.
it frames the work that you do today. And when you say what your life's purpose is,
mm-hmm.
it definitely hits differently, because we know what the backstory is now.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could go back into your childhood briefly, and you can be as forthcoming or as tight-lipped as you want to be,
mm-hmm.
but I just want you to talk about, what was your childhood like growing up with two deaf parents?
So for the most part, my childhood was happy. It was pretty normal. I didn't really realize that I was different from other kids until I got older, especially in school. You know, kids are mean. But I want to say, like, when I started preschool, I thought everyone had someone deaf in their family, because that was just so normal to me. So once I start seeing people's parents pick them up and just going over people's houses and realize, like, okay, no one has anyone deaf in their family. Like, it's just me. That's kind of when insecurities, I guess, kind of trickled in a little bit. My childhood was a lot of exploring because of that. I had to grow up really early. Always having to translate for my parents. You know, our society isn't accessible at all. And it really wasn't back then. So everywhere I went, I couldn't just be a kid. I had to be a negotiator. I had to be a translator. I had to be a therapist. I had to be an advocate. I had to, like, there was a lot of things that I had to do that I didn't even know I could do. But I had to, because I was with my parents, and there was no way that communication was going to get through if I wasn't there. But my childhood was very happy. I mean, my parents loved me just like any other parents love their kids. Me and my parents weren't close because of that kind of barrier. And just because my grandma is hearing, so she's not deaf. So having a deaf kid, especially when you're 16, you don't really know what you're doing. I mean, a lot of first-time parents don't know what they're doing. And then you have a deaf child on top of that, and you have a deaf child that wants to be deaf. They identify with deaf culture. They're meeting deaf friends, and they're very strong about that, and you have to support it. That's a lot on a young woman, especially living in the having to work. You know, my grandma, she worked her ass off. My grandma, she provided as much as she could for her family, but but there was a sense of not being close. So my grandmother and my mom wasn't close because of that. And then it kind of went into me and my mom not being close. Even though we weren't close, though, it's still, I would do anything for my mom. You know, even though we weren't close, I still very much protected her. I would, in front of people, you know, she's right. But when we go home, you probably did do that a little wrong. Like, you know.
Right.
But that was important to me because I want to be the mom that is close with my kids, whether they're deaf, whether they're hearing. That's going to change. I think that's a generational curse that's on my family, is that the women aren't close with their kids, well, with their daughters in particular. And that's something that I'm going to, for sure, change whenever I have kids.
Right. Well, I definitely want to thank you for being so open and somewhat vulnerable, because I know that even though this is your story, you've probably told it before, sometimes when you say things, like, you can get triggered and old things can come up. So I appreciate you giving this platform.
Absolutely. I think that's important for me to share because if you look at the ASL Workshops Instagram, I do post a lot of old pictures of me and my parents because that's where everything stemmed from. It stemmed from growing up in that house. And from the looks of pictures, it's like, oh, it looks like she's really close with her parents. And it's not like that. But I do think it's because, or not even think, I know it's because of the economy that we were in. You know, we didn't really grow up with much. I think it was a lot of, we were trying to survive first and foremost, rather than actually building a family, building a strong relationship. Because, you know, when you're young, you think like, oh, maybe my parents don't love me, or maybe they're mad at me, or maybe they, you know, and I had those thoughts. Like, I'm thinking maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong. But then once you get older and you take yourself out of it, you look at what is happening. Like, what when you change the perspective, it helps you understand why things happen. Things are not always because of you. And that took a long time for me to learn. I had to learn things are not always because of you. You know, my parents, they were struggling, And like I said, the main goal every day when we woke up was to survive the day. It was to survive. It was nothing else. So I think that's why there was so much disconnect when it comes to like closeness with me and my parents. But I was still taken care of. I had a roof over my head. I had food. So they did the best they could. And I can only appreciate that.
Well, and really quickly, what neighborhood did you grow up in?
I lived everywhere, but I grew up in Homewood.
Okay. Just making sure, you know, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I worked at Weston House for a brief moment as a substitute teacher, which is the best job in the world because the kids treat you so well. You know, it's just like, let's just say I didn't know what homies was, but then I went there. It's just like home, you know. It is just weird. It got weird because, you know, like then I used to work at a school like Propel Homestead, and they would be like homies and something like that, and then other people be like homies, and it's just like, all right, whatever, man. I'm just trying to get to my car safely.
I've lived everywhere though. I've lived all throughout Pittsburgh. I lived on the west side. I've lived in Sharpsburg. I lived in.
So who do you claim?
I don't claim nothing.
Okay, I got you. All right, that's cool.
I don't claim nothing, and I wasn't even born here too. I was born in Maryland. So I literally have lived everywhere.
Okay, got you. All right, I'll leave you alone.